Welcome back, Algebra 1. This week we are going to continue factoring using the bubble method. So today is our first day to practice that. We just have 3 examples in this video before you work on your assignment. I would recommend that you pause the video and try the example on your own before you watch me do it. Okay? So here's our first one. 2x squared plus 19x plus 35. The sum that we need comes from this middle term. Okay, so that's where the sum comes from. It's a positive 19. The signs that we need, we have to look at the signs from our problem. So we're trying to multiply to a positive number, which means our signs will have to be the same. We're trying to add up to a positive number, which means both signs need to be positive. So we need both signs in our parentheses to be plus signs. We could fill that in right away. Okay, remember our answer is going to be written as 2 binomials, so we'll figure out what goes in those binomials. We do know that in the front of each binomial there will be an x. We just don't know what numbers might go in front of them just yet. To figure out what goes in the rest of our answer, we need to look at our leading coefficient, which is 2. The only factors of that leading coefficient would be 1 and 2. We also need to look at the factors of our constant, which is 35. Okay, so if these little arrows that I'm drawing help you, the reason we did factors of 2 was the leading coefficient. The reason we did factors of 35, it's because it's the constant. We know that all of our signs needed for that 35 are going to be positive. So 1 and 35 would be an option. 5 and 7 would be our other option. Okay, we need the pair of those that's going to, when we multiply it to our other bubble for 2, end up with a sum of 19. I would recommend starting with the 5 and 7, just because with 1 and 35, if I multiply 35 by 1 or 2, I'm already going to be bigger than 19. So let's try 5 and 7. Okay, we could either connect these straight across or you can crisscross them. So you just have to figure out which way is going to work. Let's just try straight across for now. When I connect my bubbles, I have to multiply along those lines. So last week I was always showing that work down here. I'm taking 1 times 5. That gives me 5. I'm taking 2 times 7. That gives me 14. Okay, so these are still my bubbles here that I'm multiplying. 1 and 2, 5 and 7. That's where that came from. Now these two numbers I get on the end are what I'm adding together. And of course, 5 plus 14 gives me 19. Which makes me happy because that matches the 19 from the sum that I needed. So that means this bubble combination is what is going to work out. Okay. The first bubble tells me the coefficients to put in front of my x's. So I know I need a 1 in front of one of the x's. I need a 2 in front of the other x. The other part of this that we talked about last week was how to then fill in the second bubble part. So remember I drew this little smiley face on the outside with a little nose on the inside. The 1 got multiplied by 5. So the outside smiley face needs to connect the 1 with the positive 5. My little nose connects the 2 on the inside, and 2 should connect to the 7. So there is our answer. A lot of the times you will see it written as just x plus 7 times 2x plus 5. You won't necessarily see the 1 in front of the x. Also, you can flip these around. 2x plus 5 times x plus 7. Those are all the same answer. Or this one, or this one. All right, on the next problem, I'll talk about our sum and our signs, and then I want you to pause it and try to do the factor bubbles on your own. Again, the sum that we need comes from this middle term. So the sum needed in this case is negative 17. For the signs we need, we're trying to multiply to a positive, which means the signs need to be the same. We are trying to add to a negative. That means both of our signs need to be negative. So we could already start filling in part of our answer. They're both negative. We know we'll need an x in front of that. We just don't know what number might go in front of the x. Okay. So here, I want you to try to pause it and look at your factors of 3, which I got from my leading coefficient, and your factors of 20, remembering that they both need to be negative, which I got my 20 from in the back there. Okay, so go ahead and pause it now, and when I come back, I'll have the answer put up here. All right, we've got the rest of the work shown and the answer put up for example 2 today. So I decided that the bubble I needed was -4, -5. I decided 1 needed to be multiplied by -5. 3 needed to be multiplied by -4. And when I added those two products together, I got -17, which is what I decided I needed from the very beginning. So I just filled in my parentheses, my binomials, with those numbers. Okay, if you want to see the smiley face, the 1 got connected to the -5, the 3 to the -4. Now, I'd already put in my negative signs in the very beginning because I knew those were the signs I needed, so don't fill them in twice. Okay, your final answer should have the minus signs in them. All right, one more for today's video. This one, we know we need a sum of -13. This time our signs, we need one positive and one negative because we are trying to multiply to a negative, which means our signs have to be different. So one has to be plus, one has to be minus. I'm not going to fill those in just yet because it makes a difference which one gets put where based on what we put in the front part with our x's. Our factors of our leading coefficient, again, would be 1 and 5. This time for our factors of 28, we've got to include all possibilities because we've got a -28. So it would be better if I put that there, -28. So one positive number, one negative number, or you could flip where the negative sign is. -4 and 7. Okay, so we've got all these possibilities that we have to try for our second bubble. So I'm going to pause it here and let you think about which one we need, and when we come back we'll have the answer all filled in. All right, here's the rest of our answer for the third example. The bubble that worked was -4, +7. 1 times 7 is 7. 5 times -4 is -20. Add them up, we get -13. So our answer over here, you can see we matched things up. Or if you need more time to look at this solution, pause the video. I'm going to erase a little bit here to show you why this is the answer before I end this video. So the reason that this is the answer, and I could double check myself, is because if I were to double distribute, I would end up with the original problem. And I know I've said that in some of the videos, but I want to show you. So if I wanted to check my work, this is how I would do it. Write the answer, double distribute. So if I double distribute 1x, we have to take 1x times 5x. That gives me 5x squared. 1x times 7 is plus 7x. Double distribute the -4. -4 times 5x is -20x. I'm lining it up below my other x. -4 times -7 is -28. And then I combine my like terms. 5x squared minus 13x minus 28. And that matches the original problem, so I know my answer was correct. That's it for today's video. Tomorrow we'll have 3 more examples that I'll talk through just to give you more examples to look at. If you have questions, make sure you're asking them. This is brand new material, so we're trying to take it slow, but if you have questions, you do need to send them to me.